Hello everyone. I am glad to welcome you to the Blenderizm workshop. Thanks to everyone who joins and expands our team, those who write comments, special thanks, this is our only way to communicate so far. If you have any suggestions or advice, do not hesitate to write, I am always ready for healthy criticism or ideas. In this episode today we will create a 3D model of a gaming chair or a chair for bloggers, who calls it what? I suggest we start, let's delete everything. And add references that we will be guided by. I downloaded these, you can choose which ones you like. They need to be arranged so that we have two working buttons between which we will switch views from the camera. These are buttons 1 and 3 on the numpad. We arrange the references accordingly so that the wheels are on the axles, and the pipe that is under the seat is in the middle of the Z-axis. Next, go to the image settings and set the transparency to 0.75. Okay, we have everything prepared, we can start modeling. We add a plane, delete 3 vertices from it, leaving 1, from which we will extrude all the other vertices. We place it at the very top of the chair back, once again check that we are in the center, and using the E button, we make the outline of the back. When adding vertices, try to make them as small as possible, this will make it easier to work with the geometry. The number of vertices that I made does not fit. And I will correct it later, so monitor this point. But such mistakes are learned from, that is why we are here. So, we made the right half, add the mirror modifier, do not forget to check the box next to clipping, this is so that the two halves converge at the 0.x. Now we go to the side view, pressing the number 3 and we will place this contour along the seam, which is in the middle of the back. For convenience, you can turn on proportional transformation and turn the wheel up and down in order to change the strength of the effect. And one by one we place the vertices in their places. Now we press 1, go to the front view and I suggest making a relief under the back. Using the combination Shift-D we copy the vertex and begin to place the vertices at the points of alleged intersection. Together where the pillow is located, you need to turn on your imagination a little, in this matter you can't do without it. After you have finished placing the vertices vertically, you need to make horizontal edges, just be more careful, there you need to divide it into a long and a short part. Here again behind the pillow we fantasized a little and made a contour around the hole and we get such an interesting frame. We go to the right view and place the vertices along the back. When the frame is ready, you can fill it with faces, select 4 vertices, press the F button and so on one by one. And if you select an edge and press F, it also fills the face. Sometimes it happens that you need to subdivide where you would not like, in order to combine with the vertices opposite, since the number of vertices on one side is greater than the other. And we strive to create our topology from squares. Sometimes you have to deviate from this rule, and replace rectangles with triangles and gons. And when you fill it with faces, you need to align the vertices using the combination SY0. After which you can move on to modeling the lateral support of the seat. Here, in this place, as you can see, on one side there are more vertices. This is what I was talking about, that I will pay for adding so many vertices. Now I have to correct it. It's okay, but I'll remember this lesson and try not to do it again. And in this place you can clearly see the positive aspects of using the J button. If you take an edge and subdivide it twice, then select two opposite vertices and press J, then all the places where this line intersects with the edges, new vertices appear at the intersections. Do not forget that you need to finish the headrest. So, a new stage begins for us. Go to the editing mode, select everything and extrude along the Y-axis. After that, you can add a subdivision surface modifier with a repetition count of 2 by lightly pressing the Ctrl 2 combination. Okay, you can make a clear transition from the side support to the back, add another loop cut with the Ctrl R combination and move it to the left. Now you can make the relief of the back, select the horizontal edges, subdivide them with the Ctrl B combination. Now you need to go through each of them and add one additional edge. And when everything is ready, you need to press them inward together, so that it is the same everywhere. Whoosh, and we have a neat relief. I forgot to change the viewport material so that you can see it better. It also seems to me that you need to make the side support more convex. Let's add another edge, turn on proportional transformation, make the circle small. Pull it a little towards you. So now you can move on to the headrest. I suggest making this inner contour. With the Alt button pressed, select the inner faces, copy them, then press the right mouse button separate by selection. When you have separated the contour, add modifiers with solidify and bevel. After which it needs to be carefully positioned so that it connects nicely with the chair. Well, I congratulate us. The back is ready, we can make a seat. Let's start with the fact that we create a plane, subdivide it once, delete two left faces, add a mirror modifier. In general, it was possible to copy the modifiers from the back by pressing the Ctrl-L combination. We extrude the side along the Z-axis and begin to transform it by adding additional edges. We look at the reference and repeat its shapes. When we are done with this, we can set the thickness of the seat. We go into edit mode, select everything and press Alt-E. We need to extrude faces along the normal. We need to correct a little since the scale is not applied. And we also need to correct the back of the seat, in the place where it connects to the back. Now we move on to the seams. In the seat editing mode, we add a transverse loop cut and we will use it as a basis for creating this seam. We copy this edge, separate its details. And we need to convert it to a curve, since the curve has very good settings with which we can easily make this seam. Press the N button and go to Item Settings. We need to rotate our curve by 90 degrees. Using mean tilt. Next, go to the Geometry tab and set Extrude to 0.004, and Depth to 0.005. And that's it. Well, maybe we can move it down a little along the Z-axis. Okay, let's continue. If you don't mind, I suggest making the headrest a little thinner or sharper. And with the back you need to repeat the same procedure. You need to make a seam like we did on the seat. And in order to make the curve smooth, you need to throw on with Obvivision with a value of at least 2. I could forget to tell you about this on the seat, forgive me for this. Well, as you may have noticed, we are moving at a breakneck speed. Now I have to make a cushion on the seat. Select the horizontal faces, copy them, separate them from the general geometry. Then go to Edit Mode, Extrude vertically along the Z-axis. Well, you need to give it the desired shape. At this point, you need to make a diagonal cut of this cushion since it will consist of different materials. But this is the topic of the next lesson. So just do it. At this point, in order to align the vertices in one line, use the Loop Tool's Flatten tool. When ready, use Ctrl-B to subdivide the edge and use Alt-E to extrude the faces inward. And we get a wonderful pillow divided into two parts. I would sit on it. Now we can continue. Let's make an armrest. To do this, add a plane, delete 3 vertices from it, leave 1, place it opposite the reference using button 3 on the numpad and begin to select the armrest in a circle. In such moments, I will speed up in order to save time. Nothing supernatural is happening. If necessary, you can slow it down in the video settings on YouTube. When the outline is done, now we need to fill the faces. Here we also strive to make them squares. For this we need to try to create the same number of vertices on opposite sides. And in order to create an internal outline, we subdivide the edges and connect them using the J button in order to create new vertices and place them in the right places. Of course, we can subdivide the faces, then we will also get vertices. But they will also have to be placed in the right places. You can also press the K button and cut the internal outline with a knife, but again you will have to correct the vertices. In general, you can choose the option that suits you best. So let's do the music pause for 1 minute while I am doing this if you don't mind. When we have finished placing the vertices, we need to select the faces that we will press inward, and then simultaneously shift them along the x-axis. Check that everything looks nice, because I did not succeed the first time. Sometimes the topology needs to be corrected. If everything is good, then you can add a subdivision surface, and we also need to shift the outer contour along the x-axis. At this point, I suggest using one very convenient element called grid fill. Well, it remains for us to add a few more internal edges to make the geometry clear. We use shed smooth weld, that's all. The armrest is ready. Now this procedure needs to be repeated with a detail lower, I do not know what to call it. But it has a very similar shape. While I am making this detail, I will add a couple of decibels to make it more fun. Now that we are done with this shape, we need to make a round adapter. To do this, Add a cylinder, turn it to face us, change its size a little so that everything matches, and now we need to add several edged loops to it so that it holds its shape. We need to add a bevel along the edges. And using the I button, what does insert mean? Create additional circles. Then, holding down Alt, select a thin circle and press it inward. In order to correct the stretch marks O. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing well with you. Let's arrange the three parts that we made in their places. We place them near the chair and need to scale the armrest a little, to the size of the reference. Well, after that we can move on to the metal mount that is under the seat. In order to create it, we add a plane, subdivide it once, delete the left side. We do this to save time twice. After that, select the outer edges and extrude them down along the Z-axis. Now we can copy this part and rotate it by 90 degrees. From these two pieces we will make a mount. We need to transform them a little, using simple manipulations.
Life done, heartbeat done, everything done, sound claps done, argument done, from my team, ton of every sound where run, yo, every selector life done, heartbeat done, everything done, sound claps done, argument done, from my team, ton of every sound where run, every selector life done, heartbeat done, everything done, sound claps done, argument done, from my team, ton of every sound where run, yo, every selector life done, heartbeat done, everything done, sound claps done, argument done, from my team, ton of every sound where run. Every selector life done, heartbeat done, everything done, sound clash done, argument done, from my team, ton of every sound where run. Every selector life done.
Add a solidify modifier to them and do not forget to check the box next to the equal thickness function. We will also add a bevel modifier. At this point, you can clearly see how the mirror modifier works when the reflection intersects with the part. This is easy to fix. You need to move the vertex a little along the X-axis in edit mode. After correcting, you can move on to scaling. Let's press button 3, go to the view on the right, and now you can scale and place the metal mount in its place.
Life done, heartbeat done, everything ding done, argument done, from my team, ton of every sound where, yo, every selector life done, heartbeat done, everything ding done.
Well, we are doing a good job, we can be proud of ourselves. Let's continue. Now add a cylinder, which will serve as a sleeve for attaching the handles for adjusting the height and rotation of the seat. You need to turn it and place it so that it sticks out a little on both sides and make small protrusions for it with which it will be attached to the metal body. Now you can make the handle itself, it will be wavy. Add another cylinder, go to edit mode and add a lot of edge loops to it, and immediately without exiting the edit mode. Press the Ctrl B combination and drag the mouse a little to the side to divide one edge into two. Now you need to add one more edge loop between each of these pairs. Now in the transform pivot point menu, you need to change the mode to individual origins. Now go back to edit mode and you need to select all these loops that we added and use the S button to reduce them a little. Now we can make the second part of the handle, add the almighty cube, add a subdivision to it and add several loop cuts to it to give it the necessary shape. It's easy, I will not go into details.
Yo.
At the end, we combine the two parts and use the / button to isolate our object and press the Shift right button combination to place the 3D cursor in the right place for us and then set a new origin point for the part. Now we can make a pipe on which our chair stands, add a cylinder, make it so that it is on the x-axis at 0. And we begin to lengthen it step by step. There is nothing complicated here either, sometimes we add a bevel modifier. Well, now we can move on to the leg of the chair. Since we have 5 of them, we need to make one, then we copy it. Let's start with the fact that we need to add the almighty cube and, using the reference, look there and transform it with simple operations. Step by step, add new edge loops and, with their help, gradually transform to the desired shape. Well, we need to make a wheel on which the chair will run. Add a cylinder, divide it in half, delete one side, reduce the front face in diameter and with the operations already known to us by adding additional edge loops we give it the desired shape. Then with the Alt key pressed select the circle of edges and remove half from the selection, copy it with Shift D and separate it from the part. Now it needs to be transformed into a wheel mount. Step by step using fantasy and reference we extrude and transform it into a mount. Do not forget to use the grid fill function whenever possible, it creates very good geometry. We copy our wheel and reflect it symmetrically relative to the mount. There are several ways to do this. I just copied it and rotated it 180 degrees, using hotkeys it is quite fast to do. Now you can correct a little and add a few EDG loops to the topology of the wheels if you want. You can use bevel. And you need to set the thickness of the mount a little. Somehow my wheel looks narrow and I will stretch it a little along the x-axis. Press the button everyone on the numpad switch to the top view. Let's place our wheel perpendicular to the leg of the chair. Now you can combine our two parts, only you need to select them in the correct order so that the subdivision surfer's modifier from the wheel is transferred to the leg of the chair. Apply the shade smooth and you can move on. Now you need to remember the geometry. If you calculate that there are 360 degrees in a circle, and we have 5 legs, then you need 360/5 and we get 72 degrees. Now we switch to the top view, place the 3D cursor at the origin, move the center of the geometry of the chair legs to the 3D cursor. Now you can press the combination Shift D, then immediately press R and press 7-2 and add the remaining legs in this way. Okay, let's move on to the next detail. Now I suggest making a pillow. Add a plane, subdivide it 10 times. Then select everything and extrude along the Z-axis. Now we need to select the edges that are along the perimeter, and the top and bottom. We need to merge and combine them together, so use SZ and move the mouse so as to connect them. When they are already close enough, press the M button and apply merge by distance. And his cat on the left must immediately change the value so that there are no questions. Go to the physical properties of the object and apply cloth to it. We now need to find the pressure tab. Set the value to 5.500. Usually this tool works in the range from 1 to 10. If you run the simulation, the object will fall. Therefore, you need to go to the properties just below and turn off gravity. Now we press the spacebar and stop the simulation at the right moment, when we like the look of our pillow the most. Now we apply shade smooth and we can place it in place. But we also need to copy it, enlarge it and put it down on the seat. There is one more detail left to make. For this we need to go into the backrest editing mode and select the face loop, the one that seems most similar to seat belts. Copy it and separate it from the detail. Using the 3 button on the numpad, we go to the side view and place this belt around the backrest, as it will be located as similarly as possible. Then we need to edit it a little, as we have notches left on it from the fact that we made the relief on the backrest, so we delete one edge and connect the other two. And we do this in a circle several times. When we are done with this, we can add a solidify modifier and a bevel modifier to our belts, after which we can place the belt on the front side of the backrest. Check again that everything is even. Well, that is all for this episode. I think in next I will do textures for this model. Don't forget to leave some comment, if you want. Thank you for your attention. I hope you learned some. As always, learn hot buttons, they will make your life easier. Take your time, try different settings and pray for Ukraine. Thank you, bye.